Acting is a state of mind. It's not a concept. It's not, it's not a theory. It's not a method. It's not a technique. It's not a process. It's not a procedure. It's a state of mind. It's about priorities. Your imaginative power is limitless. It's infinite. I work with 4 muscles. Your childlike innocence, and you haven't lost your childlike innocence. It's still there. It's buried under adulthood, granted. But I work very hard at reviving people's interest in their own childlike innocence. And the great actors, brilliant actors today and in the past have that childlike innocence in the work. Your imagination, which is infinite and limitless. How dare some acting teacher or some director say, well, you can't imagine that because you've never been there. What they can say to you, if they're teaching, hopefully, you haven't used your imagination enough. Third muscle is your vulnerability. Unless there's something organically wrong, you have a limitless vulnerability. And the fourth muscle is concentration. Concentration is the focusing of the conscious mind on something. The best actors focus on the story. You don't need anything else to be an accomplished actor. All you need to do is exercise and practice these 4 muscles. And nature's always on your side. I say this to actors. Natural law is on your side. Anything you practice and exercise becomes stronger and more proficient. I work with 2 terrible metaphors. Cancers. The first cancer in the work I do in acting is concerned about results, product, presentation, good, bad, right, wrong, approval, etc. That's a terrible thing to take into an audition with you. You just can't be open. You can't do as well. The other cancer is subjectivity. And that's even trickier because we all have personal opinions. Or well-meaning, I don't have enough time. That's subjective input. Already you're cutting your legs out from under you. Or I don't have enough information. That's typical actor mentality. Most actors, that's the way they think. Instead of the better actors, the more compensated, I absorb. If you accept and absorb the information you're getting, you're going to understand it much deeper, much better, and much more accurately. One of the things I love saying to new actors, you're asking yourself to behave naturally under unnatural conditions. So why wouldn't you follow the way you behave naturally in your everyday life, where most acting techniques take you away from that? It was Stella Adler who asked Stanislavski, explain to us the method, your method. And he said, quote, and it's a quote, I have no method. I just do everything I have to do to get what I need and want out of an actor, end of quote. Makes perfect sense to me. They so misinterpret it. I mean, substitution, all that stuff, sense memory, those are exercises to help you get ready to do your work. He didn't say bring him to rehearsal, bring him to the performance, which is what a lot of bad method actors tend to do. It's a game of pretending. Some of the greatest actors in history have said that. To be a successful actor, you have to have the hide of a rhinoceros and the heart of a baby. That's the key, that's the secret. It's that childlike innocence. Daniel Day-Lewis publicly says it all the time. People refuse to accept. He says, I have a private room in my home where I go to daydream. It's a game we play. He gave a very in-depth interview on the New York Times after he had finished filming Abraham Lincoln. And he said, quote, I am not unhinged. I know I am not Abraham Lincoln. But for some reason or other, I'm willing to accept the illusion. That's an adult way of saying play pretend.
Hey guys, it's Kurt from smallmarketactor.com. Now, when a professional actor and an amateur actor look at their lines in a script, they usually approach it in totally different ways. Amateurs tend to focus on the words, while pros focus on communication. Now, it may not sound like a big deal, but there is actually a huge difference. Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw said that the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. So what does this have to do with acting? Well, amateur actors often fall into the trap of believing that saying all the words right is enough to effectively communicate a message. So they spend most of their time memorizing their lines. I've personally fallen into this trap many times. But the professional actor understands that communication is much more than just words. If it were only about the words, then anybody who's able to robotically recite lines could be an actor. But that's not communication. Communication has feeling. Communication has emotion. Communication has depth. And because of that, professional actors don't spend most of their time memorizing their lines. Instead, they spend it on giving the lines meaning, making the words come alive. Not only their own lines, but their partner's lines as well. They spend time making choices and adding behavior to turn their characters into real human beings, and not just a puppet saying pre-written words. So if you aren't yet approaching your scripts this way, then what are some steps that you can take in order to do so? Here are a couple ways to start shifting your focus from words to communication. Have a reason to talk. When actors don't focus on communication, they often don't know why they're saying what they're saying. They're simply spitting out lines because they were written there in the script. But again, it isn't the actor's job to say the words. It's the actor's job to put thought and feeling into the words. So give yourself a reason to talk. Look at your line and figure out the thoughts and the feelings behind them so that you have a deeper understanding of what you're saying. In real life, words don't just come out of our mouths for no reason, even though you might swear you know someone who suffers from that condition. No, in real life, there are always thoughts and feelings behind every word that we speak. So apply this to your acting. Inject your scripted lines with thoughts and feelings to give your communication depth. React to others. Speaking of things real human beings do in real life, we react to things that other people say and do. So just like you should have a feeling about your own lines, you should also have a feeling about what other people say as well. A lot of amateur actors simply wait for their turn to talk, and then as soon as their partner finishes speaking, they excitedly blurt out their next line. But that's not how conversation works in real life. In real life, we listen to what others say, we then process it, have a reaction to it, and then finally we formulate a response. Don't skip those first 3 steps. Listening, processing, and reacting are just as important a part of communication as speaking. Work on these things and pretty soon you'll no longer look like an actor reciting lines, you'll look like a human being speaking from the heart.
Trust in the process. Every setback is a stepping stone to greatness. Even in the darkest moments of uncertainty, have faith that everything will eventually fall into place. The rehearsals, the struggles, the failures, they all contribute to the tapestry of your journey as an actor. This brings us to another important lesson that all new actors must learn if they are to be successful. Here, the amazing actor Bradley Cooper advises, go with your gut. You know there's a reason why you think the way you do and want to do the things you do. Intuition is your compass. Let it guide you through the complexities of your character. Trust your instincts as an actor and allow them to lead you towards authentic, truthful performances that resonate with audiences on a profound level. However, if your instincts fail you and things do not quite go as planned, experienced actor George Clooney wisely states, failures are infinitely more instructive than successes. Every great actor knows this, and ultimately learns to embrace failure as a teacher, as it's through adversity that we learn the most fruitful lessons. And that is, every stumble and every setback presents us with an opportunity for growth and self-discovery, ultimately leading us to a greater resilience and mastery of the craft. To remind us of this, Angelina Jolie fiercely declares, "If I make a fool of myself, who cares? I'm not frightened by anyone's perception of me." So learn to embrace vulnerability. It is without doubt the gateway to authenticity and being able to have a strong and meaningful connection with your audience. Let go of the fear of judgment and the need for validation, and embrace your true self, flaws and all. For it's in your vulnerability that you find the courage to fully immerse yourself in your characters and touch the hearts of your audience.
Okay, so how do you become an actor? Well, really, I would look at this as any other business. The first thing you got to do is have a product. I don't think anybody is naturally gifted enough to where they can go and work as an actor and get paid for it until they actually have a very valuable skill. And generally, it takes some time for an actor to gain that skill, and not only gain the skill, but then gain the confidence behind that skill to where they can bring that confidence into the audition room and onto set with them. That is like super important. But once you have that skill, then we can start to market it. Before we market the skill, we also want to know what like our branding is as an actor. Where do we physically fit into this business? Because we're always playing a character. And some actors have a distinct look that would make them maybe book this type of character more often than another. And you wouldn't want to just say, yeah, I'm an actor, I can play everything. But especially at the beginning of a career, you want to make sure that you're an easy cast, okay? It's an easy cast. So we would want to go, no, I think I would play these most often. So I'm going to actually cater my headshots, cater my reels to those things. And that's what we would do. As soon as we have all that, we understand our branding, you're gonna get your marketing materials together. Again, headshots and reels. Showcasing those characters we're gonna be most likely playing, which we are already good at playing because we worked on them, and that's the skill. Once we have that stuff, we probably wanna develop a little bit as an actor before going to a talent agent to represent us for like the biggest stuff out there. And in order to do that, we get up on some casting profile websites that are gonna allow you to audition for work, student films, independent films, web series, maybe even some features. A lot of it will be non-union work, but it's resume building work. And it's gonna give you some experience under your belt as an actor. Now, once we have all of that, maybe even one of those jobs got you maybe in the union or eligible to join the union, we're gonna take everything from there, and then that's when we present it to an agent. We submit for agent representation, and the agent representation is what's gonna allow you to audition for the big stuff. Follow those steps, and I promise, stick with it, you will eventually get there.
I know that a lot of you guys want to get an agent. For those of you who don't know, an agent is the person who kind of acts as a middleman between the people making a movie or casting a play and the actors. So an agent basically gets you an audition with these people. However, I have tons of professional working actor friends who do not have agents, myself included. I've done professional work on stage and on screen. You don't necessarily need an agent, but it makes it a lot easier, especially if you do want to do primarily commercial TV movie stuff. Caveat here, most agents won't take you on if you don't have experience. So let's talk about how to get experience. Best way to start out, audition for the school play, audition for community theater. Does your church or synagogue have a choir? Sign up for it. Can you take dance PE at school? Do that. These things are all free, or at least relatively free, and it's a great way to kind of get your foot in the door when it comes to performing. And even though it's not a lot or anything fancy, having something on your resume for your first audition definitely helps. Another great thing to do is to get some actual training. And by this, I mean taking dance classes, take voice lessons. Pretty much every singer that you've ever heard and you've liked, they've had vocal coaching at some point in their lives. The 1 in a million singer that doesn't have any vocal training is like a statistic anomaly, but they're also running the risk of really damaging their voice. Acting classes are great too, especially if you're really new to the acting scene. Take audition workshops. For you guys who are really interested in just screen acting, still do theater. And here's why. Theater is a great way to get experience. It's so hard to book an on-screen job with no acting experience. No one wants to work with a newbie. And it's not out of meanness or trying to kick you out before you even get started. It's because running something on set, like filming something, is really expensive.
Like really expensive.
So dealing with someone who isn't prepared in the sense that they've never acted before and they don't really know how to behave either on stage, on set, what have you, it's losing money for them. This is such a good resource and so few people do it. Talk to the film majors or filmmakers at your school. Definitely a high possibility that those people need actors for their projects. This is a great way to kind of learn what it's like to be on set, but in a low pressure environment. talent. In that same vein, try to get some extra work. One of my first on-screen gigs was being an extra on MTV's Faking It, and that was a ton of fun. I learned so much from that experience. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys want me to talk about being an extra. The best way to make a good impression on a teacher, a casting director, is to be educated. How do you do this? By doing research. There is a ton of information on this. You've got textbooks, magazines, articles, YouTube channels like the one you're watching right now. Bow! That's why I exist. I want to help you guys out with this kind of stuff. So go check out some of those videos. I'll leave a playlist down below. Give that a watch if you want to learn more. So there you guys go. Those are my top tips on how to start an acting career with no experience.